welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be kind of a plan with me video as I prepare our first unit study for the school year. In another video, I talked about studying ancient Egypt. Well, my child lost interest in that before I even got to prepare the unit study for that. That's the beauty in unschooling and homeschooling. But anyway, we're gonna start with trees, which is the perfect time. She's always been very interested in just nature and trees, and so why not go back to kind of more of her overall interests. Fall, well, fall is starting. I wish it was here already. I love the fall. That's my favorite season. But with fall starting, we're on more of our nature walks because the temperatures are dropping and I can have my youngest out a little bit longer, who's not one yet. And so trees, we're gonna do trees. I am going to try using Tori from the Ogilvy's Ohana. She has like this 3-step process. I'll link the video below, and it's very simple, and so I want to start with that. I love her channel, and I just thought it was great, so I'll link that video below. I'll start first with kind of what her 3 steps are, and I'm just using a notebook from Target. I love like pen to paper, that's me. So for planning a unit study, first she recommends finding a topic, and then creating a list of questions, and finally gathering all of your resources. So this reminded me a lot of project-based learning, in which there's this one driving question that you focus on the entire study or project, if you will. And so this kind of fits with the unit study approach, and that's kind of what I'm doing in our homeschool outside of what we're working on this year, which is literacy. If you've seen my previous videos, we're focusing on learning to read. That's what she wants me to teach her, so I gather resources for that. But anyway, back to what this video is about. Plan this unit study with me. Again, the topic is trees, and so I have that down. That is our big focus, trees. So I'm just writing topic, trees. We live in the Midwest. Questions. Okay, so the topic was trees, and then the questions that we're going to list, I am going to choose the one big question, and then I'll probably jot down a couple little questions, but I want to leave room as I introduce the topic. With project-based learning, you introduce the topic, so in this case it would be trees, and then you create kind of almost like this web. You don't have to, but I want to create a web around the topic and just find out what my daughter knows about trees, and then from there we can create the questions together to kind of investigate throughout our unit study. And so in planning this, I likely am going to kind of have like an outline, and then just always refer back to my resources, which I'll share in a little bit, to kind of help answer those questions, but kind of have a guide throughout the unit study, and then always refer back to our questions. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this as far as creating the questions. The final step would be to gather your resources. So I'm just going to show you really quickly the resources that I have, which of course are first books. And so these are the different books that I'll be using. And I'll probably add more. I'm going to write a list for the library. I want to grab a tree identification guide, and they have one at our local library that I can schedule for pickup. And then I'll probably grab a couple other little nonfiction books on trees to throw in the unit study. And so I'll talk about how I plan to use these. So first, this was a book actually recommended. Tori from the Oglesby Ohana did a study on trees. She recommended this book, and so I went ahead and ordered this on Amazon. And what I'm going to do is kind of look through the table of contents and then kind of outline the unit and how the weeks will go. So I'm planning this to be maybe 4 or 6 weeks long. Probably 6 weeks, just because there's so much that can come from a tree unit study. And so that's where I'll start. I'll break down the table of contents, and then in these other books, so our homeschool is faith-based, and so I have these 2 books. How Great Is Our God, and this is 100 Indescribable Devotions about God and Science. And then this is the other one, Indescribable, again, 100 Devotions about God and Science. And so there are 2 of them, and I went through the table of contents, and I wanted to just kind of find anything that was going to relate to trees. And so that's what I'm going to do with this, and then write that down in my notebook. And then lastly, this is Getting Started with Science. This is an Usborne book from Usborne Books More, and I'll link it below. And then I really wanted to use this page, this part of it. And so in here, it just has a couple of facts about plants, and then at the bottom there's a little STEM activity that we can do. And so I wanted to use this to kind of bring in some of that STEM as far as like some activities. And then outside of this, I'm going to use my laptop, and I'm just going to kind of look for like free printables, different hands-on activities you can do, and I'm going to write those down in my notebook. So that's what I'm going to do now. So just went through the contents. I am using DK's The Magic and Mystery of Trees as kind of the entire unit study resource, or the unit study guide. So I'm basing everything out of this book, and then I'm adding those other books in to like supplement or enhance the different areas. So what I did was I went through, and there are 5 different like main topics within this book, and so those are my weeks. So the unit will be 5 weeks long, and so each week we're doing a Monday through Thursday homeschool week. So I went ahead and I labeled the title for that week, and then each day of that week I put the different page numbers of what subtopics we're talking about from within this. So that's what I did. Now what I'm going to do is look through the devotionals and find like related devotionals for each week that we would read throughout the unit. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I just finished adding in the different devotionals and our different STEM activities from the Usborne Getting Started with Science book. And there were a lot of different resources in the devotionals. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different devotionals from these two, which is plenty for 5 weeks. And then from the Usborne the STEM book, I got 1, 2, 3. I got 3 different areas from this book and activities we can do. And so after this, I'm going to type everything up because I like planning on paper, and then I'm going to kind of organize all of this, type it up, and then what I would recommend, which is what I'm going to do, is grab some like sticky note markers and mark all of the pages in here. I think that's going to help the day flow smoothly. Whenever you give some wiggle room, yeah, the kids are just gonna like, all right, you lost my attention. But I think this is going to be fun. I think just having a couple pages that we're going to go through, and I'll probably do, let me know if you want me to do like a day in a life type video. Maybe I'll do like our first week or something like that, where you can see how this unfolds and how I use our chalkboard to kind of maybe put those devotionals on there so we can reference them. And I'm going to put a lot of resources and really utilize the chalk wall board that we just created for homeschool. So the room is coming along. I'm really excited, and I won't go too in depth with the different parts. I'll just record like a day in a life or something like that, or our homeschool day, so you can kind of see what I did. And so now I'm just going to go on the computer and find my printables, print all that off, organize it, and then order. I think out of these books, all I need is to reserve the identification book, the tree identification book from the library. And that was my unit study. So I'll link these books below. I'll also link the book that I'm going to reserve from the library in case you want to order that. I may just order it depending on how I feel about it, because I feel like we'll utilize it a lot. So these are the 4 books that I'm going to use, and that's an entire unit study, just with a couple of books and creating it yourself. I think I really like using Tori's method of planning through creating the questions. Again, I'm kind of adding a little bit of a project-based learning approach in which I'll highlight some questions, or as we go through, I'll highlight the questions and take notes of which ones spark my daughter's interest. So I'll do that for the questions area. Those are my resources. Kind of planned it out. I guess this is how you would plan in like unschooling or more of a child-led. It's really just an outline and me providing the resources and the activities, and she'll let me know what she wants to learn, and we'll investigate that with each other and find the answers through our books and resources. And I'm going to plan, in addition to the resource area, I'm going to go ahead and write down maybe, you know, of 1 or 2 like outings or field trips, if you will, to put in there. And with everything going on, I wish we could do more, but just to stay safe, I'll keep it at something like a couple of nature walks, like at a trail, or anything where they're practicing, you know, social distancing. This mama needs to make sure she reviews. That's one thing about, you know, homeschooling. You have to be prepared. So I'm going to utilize the rest of my little one's nap time, finish organizing this, type it up, and then we'll see how this goes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoy content like this and you want to see more, to like, comment, and then subscribe.